often you've got two different personalities.
Yes.
And so often you've got, and like you and I are a good example of this, you're more detail, I'm more big picture. So I'll go for a really big change and you will go, that's too overwhelming.
Yeah, always.
That's too much for me right now. But that's not to say that you're resistant to change. It's just you're resistant to big change.
Big change. Yep. And I think you're rare. I think a lot of people struggle with big changes all of a sudden. And part of that, maybe it is a fear of failure. Maybe it's the comfort zone is definitely, challenged. Once you challenge your comfort zone, it's a big one.
If you want more time, money, freedom, and have a business that's not reliant on you, then you're in the right place. Each week, Mark Creedon, along with some of the very best business minds in the world, will take you through simple, practical steps you can take to create the business you always wanted. From his own practical experience, Mark will show you how to work less, make more, and get the business you always wanted, the one that you deserve. Now here's your host, one of Australia's most sought-after business coaches, Mark Creedon.
Welcome to the Mastermind for Business podcast. This podcast is for couples in business. If you are in business with your life partner, with a family member, good mates, you're a couple in business, then this is the podcast where we're going to help you to build stronger communication, to work harder, not smarter, to meet the challenges, the very specific challenges that you will face if you are, in fact, a couple in business, which is really different from most of the dynamics that happen in a normal business relationship. We're going to show you how to lead with clarity and trust, how to stop the team playing mum against dad, how to build confidence together, and then create a really strong, supportive, and accountable system. And speaking of couples in business, as always, Caroline is joining me in the chair.
Woo! Hello. This is going to be a really good episode following on from our last one, so I'm looking forward to this.
Right. So last time we spoke about how to improve communication by, focusing on, transactional versus relational and being aware of, when you have communications, where you have them, how you have them, and some reflective listening, etc. In this episode, which is a part of our new series talking about helping to strengthen communication and build a stronger business together, we're talking about the concept of small shifts and the power of kind of 1%ers. So, I guess the question you're asking, what if the breakthrough you're chasing isn't in fact a huge transformation? And one of the things that we talk about, we've got a tool in our mastermind program that we call the 5 drivers. And the thing we always say about that is you're talking about just shifting the needle on 5 different dials, if you like, 5 things that are driving your business. And we always say we're not looking to shift the needle from, say, a 2 to a 5. It's a 1 to 5 rating, but it's just from a 2 to a 2.5.
Yeah.
Or from a 4 to a 4.5. And so all we're doing is just looking to shift those needles just that little bit, because sometimes it's not the big shifts that you're really looking for, is it?
No, look, I love 1%ers. I think they're awesome, and you can measure them and see them in all elements of your business and at home, but you can really use them as a powerful tool, and simply by changing or tweaking 1 little % of something, and the power of that changes as you implement that on a regular basis. Yeah, I really love 1%.
So
1% things.
It's the Japanese principle of Kaizen, right? The concept is you make these small tweaks and they have an exponential effect over an extended period of time. But let's talk about why 1%ers. Why not big shifts?
I think a big part of that is overwhelm. If you say to yourself, yep, no worries, I am going to change our entire onboarding process, and I'm going to do that all in a day, and tomorrow everybody is going to be, any new staff members or any new clients are going to be onboarded this particular way. You're setting yourself up for failure, because the likelihood that everybody in your team is able to do that as you want it is probably not going to work. But if you change 1% of that, so it might just be 1 document that you change.
Tweak one aspect of it.
Just tweak 1 aspect.
Yeah. I think the other thing about those small tweaks is that not only they're small, they're manageable, they're repeatable.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to make a very small tweak in a system or process in your business and then just go, right now, I'm going to build on this. It's got a compounding effect, hasn't it?
Yeah.
If you change this one thing and then the next day you change another thing. And so if you looked at, say, you went, okay, so every day or every week, I'm going to make a little 1% change. At the end of the year, you've made a 52% change in the way things are operating in your business. It's more than that, actually. It compounds. There is some maths around it, but it compounds to a great deal more than 52%, in fact. So the compounding effect of just making a small change. I guess the other thing for couples in business is that if you've got a person, and we've spoken about this before, because often when you're talking about couples, particularly, like husband and wife or life partners, or brothers and sisters or mums and sons or mums and daughters, whatever, often you've got two different personalities.
Yes.
And so often you've got, and like you and I are a good example of this, you're more detail, I'm more big picture. So I'll go for a really big change and you will go, that's too overwhelming.
Yeah, always.
That's too much for me right now. But that's not to say that you're resistant to change. It's just you're resistant to big change.
Big change. Yep. And I think you're rare. I think a lot of people struggle with big changes all of a sudden. And part of that, maybe it is a fear of failure. Maybe it's the comfort zone is definitely, challenged. Once you challenge your comfort zone, it's a big one.
So I think the other thing too is if you're looking to make small changes, so we talk about leveraging things in your business, right? And so it's about, if I can leverage the way that we do a certain thing, we can leverage our marketing or we can leverage our client service or whatever it might be. It's kind of really easy to leverage that 1%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also think it's easier to, in inverted commas, sell that to your business partner, your life partner, if you go, all we're doing is making this tiny little tweak and then let the compounding, it's like compound interest, right? You just make this little investment, you make this little bit, and then let the compounding do its own thing and take care of itself.
Yeah. I mean, one example there for you, your calendar is not your strong point.
No.
Managing your calendar, you're
nope, hopeless at it.
Don't mean to be rough, but you're really crap at it.
No, I'm terrible.
A 1% change.
Myself every day of the week.
Yeah, 100%. So a 1% change that we did there was you don't look after your calendar anymore. You have somebody else look after your calendar. And at any stage you go, I want to put this in. No, you know that you don't do that anymore. That's the 1% change that you made. You're getting somebody else to manage your calendar. Great outcome.
Yep.
And easy to do because you're taking that off yourself to do.
100%. I mean, some may say that's 100% change because I went from doing it to not doing it.
Great delegation.
Yeah, exactly. But it is those little 1%. And I think we're talking about sort of how to leverage things in the business. If you can look at those, so how do you go, well, I want to make some small changes. And I think there's a really simple tool. We use a worksheet within Mastermind that we call Place Your Bets. And we do this at the end of every intensive. So 3 times a year, we get all of our clients together from across Australia and New Zealand, and normally on the Gold Coast, and we get them together. We've got one coming up on the 22nd of October, which is actually in Brisbane this time because of the fast cars running around the Gold Coast streets instead. But what we do at the end of those intensives is we've captured a whole bunch of ideas and we go, let's find a leverage point within your business that you can make some changes on, right? And here, these are just these little 1%ers, right? They're not, generally speaking, they're not massive, big changes. So what we do with the Place Your Bets worksheet is we go, what is something that's going to have a high impact but low energy? So in other words, something I can do pretty quickly and easily, but is going to have a really high impact in the business. And again, just shifting that 1%, because you're going to have a high impact in the business by changing everything.
Yeah, but
high.
The challenges and the outcomes of that are not going to be as fruitful as the dream.
Well, they're not, because you might actually have high impact, but geez, you'll have high energy in it. And high energy and high impact is high risk and high risk of it failing. Whereas if we go really low energy, it's not going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take concentrated effort, committed, educated, thinking.
Continually.
Yeah. But it's not a huge drain. It's not going to take you away from doing everything else you need to do in the business.
Measure. You need to measure these things as well. You don't know it's 1%. If you're not measuring it, it's 1%.
No, 100%. So really simple, 100%. Yeah. So really simple changes.
100% of 1%.
You know, the other thing I was thinking just before as we were talking about this is that it's much easier to then celebrate those 1% wins, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think 1%, you have to celebrate those wins. And sometimes unless you stop and acknowledge those wins for yourself.
Yep.
And one great thing about sharing and acknowledging that you have achieved something is also letting your partner know that you have actually achieved something, because sometimes you'll have great wins and you're in a really positive, happy state and your partner doesn't know that you've had these things and they'll come at you with a whole bunch of, their negatives and you're like, hang on a minute. No, now's not a good time. I'm having a win.
Yeah. So
acknowledge my win and then let's get to the other stuff.
You often talk about the concept of celebrating micro wins.
Yeah.
Right? So when I look at that, I think, why would we celebrate a micro win? Why wouldn't we wait till we got a decent win to celebrate?
It's funny, great micro win, funny story. And it's a micro win because it actually doesn't impact on us personally.
Yep.
But I was talking to one of the staff in the kitchen this morning and, they said to me, oh, you're going to be so proud of me. You're going to be so proud of me. I thought it was a work-related thing. And they said, I've looked at my budget and realised that I spend $10 on a coffee every day. Now, I didn't realise you could spend $10 on a coffee every day, but $10 on a coffee every day. So I've come up with this great idea where if I don't get that coffee every day, so I'm spending $140 a fortnight on coffee.
Wow.
I'll be able to put that toward buying my house.
Yeah, cool.
So what I've done is instead of buying it, I went to the supermarket and I bought the coffee that I wanted and I bought the syrup that I wanted and the soy milk that I have and I just make it for myself.
Yeah, see, so that's a micro win. And I think when you're talking about, couples in business and business partnerships, celebrating micro wins for yourself, for each other and for your team, it's much easier to celebrate a micro win and it provides a constant reinforcement. So if you've got a project underway and you've progressed it from 0 to 5 out of 100, celebrate the 5.
Yeah.
Because if you wait till you get to the 100, A, you might not reach it for whatever reason, but B, sometimes it's really hard to look back and realise kind of how far you've come. So I was having a conversation with one of our mastermind clients yesterday and they were having a really bad day. And I said to him, okay, so hang on a second. I want you to think about the last day you had that was a really crap day. Right? Just take a moment to think about that. And he went, yep, got it. I went, is today any better? He went, oh, shit, yeah, it's better than that. I went, okay, there's a win, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to see those little wins if you're looking for the micro wins as opposed to looking for the really big stuff.
Yeah. I remember you used to always ask kids, oh, what was the best thing about your day?
Yeah.
And they always rolled their eyes.
Yeah.
But, they might have had fun on the playground.
No, but you know what's really fascinating about that is they roll their eyes, and Nick's sitting here recording this stuff, but I've heard them asking their kids that. So it must have got through somewhere along the line, right? So it is about celebrating. So the reason I used to ask the kids that, what was the best thing happened in your day today, is just to remind them that there's always something positive. You can be having the worst day in the world, but there's something there. There's something. As George Burns used to say, he'd wake up in the morning and he'd check the obituaries in the paper, and if his name wasn't there, he knew it was going to be a good day. Yeah. So even if it's just that you actually get to wake up and, the sun's shining or the birds are singing or your dog's pleased to see you or whatever it might be. But if we're talking about couples in business, just stopping and celebrating those micro wins, I think is really valuable, because it gives you the opportunity to celebrate something together.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And so you've got to share those wins with each other, right?
Yep. I mean, set the micro wins, write them down, share them at your meetings every week, and be proactive with measuring them and what you do with those wins, because it's the little wins that add up to the big wins.
Yeah, it is. We spoke about the importance of taking, not micro wins, but micro steps, so the 1%ers. And I think there's a saying that I use all the time, which is we should never let perfection get in the way of progress. And I think if you are a perfectionist, and if you're listening to this and your life partner, family member, who's also your business partner, is a perfectionist and you're not, it can be kind of really frustrating because they'll go, oh no, we've got to wait till it's perfect. But I don't know that necessarily works, because maybe the timing will never be perfect. Maybe it will actually never be perfect. And if you are a perfectionist, it probably won't be, because when you get it to that perfect stage, you will have learnt more and evolved more, and now perfect is now even another step away still.
Everything moves so much faster today. And what was working, and marketing is a perfect example. You'll see something online and you go, I love that. That's awesome.
Yep.
And then you'll go, I'm going to implement something really similar to that. We'll change it around a little bit and get it really cool. Make it look great and all the rest. And then next week you'll see somebody else doing something totally different, but you haven't achieved because you're taking too much time and you're wanting it to be super duper perfect. Make it great. And move on.
Marketing's a good example, because if you wait 30 days to put something into place, the algorithms have changed, and what was perfect a month ago is not perfect now. So there is that element, I think, of rather than waiting for the perfect time, just taking small daily actions. But this gets back to, if we talk about as couples, taking small daily actions, understanding what each person is looking to achieve and what each person's small daily actions are, so that you don't get in the way of them, A, and B, so that you can actually support them if need be.
Yeah.
And you know what? We've said this before, and we said this in the last episode, but that really comes down to some structure around your communication, doesn't it? Right? Just making sure you got those. If you are a couple in business and you are not having structured, regular, committed meetings, then you are missing on a massive opportunity to generate real momentum in your business.
Yeah. Like I always find, one thing I find is when I'm in a zone, if we're looking at, say, our calendar, for example, when I'm in a zone and I'm working on something specifically, I don't want that thought broken.
Yeah.
And someone, and you'll come in and say, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
I'm like, no, now is not a good time. Can you please come back?
Yeah, 100%.
And let's revisit that now, because that mindset change that I've had, that was a 1% for me, because
take you out of the zone.
You're taking my head out of the zone, but I've been disciplined enough to say, no, come back.
Yeah.
To that.
So it's a matter of, I think, in that situation of, again, as we often say, picking the right timing, picking the right place. You know, we've said it before, we don't want your dining room or your kitchen table to become a boardroom table. You don't want your bedroom to become a meeting room.
Yeah.
So what we do want to do is just make sure that we've got the timing right. And so you've got a bit of a challenge, right?
Yep. So again, send this episode to your partner, but let's have a look at what opportunities that you can see in your business. 1%, really small ones that you can implement that will help lift the energy of the business and your energy in the business.
Yeah.
Because, business is exhausting sometimes.
So go to your partner.
Have a look at that.
Yeah, so go to your partner now and say, hey, what's one percenter that we could change in the business this week in the next 7 days? And then work out, the breakup of who's going to do what around that.
Yep.
And I think there's also, Caroline, you've got a prospect summary sheet that I think sort of helps with that as well in terms of marketing or prospecting into your business.
Yeah.
So if you've got a service business and you've developed a prospect summary sheet, which is a way that, couples can keep a track of what each other is bringing into the business in terms of prospects.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you don't want to, everybody needs to just put their own, there needs to be some equal effort into growing the business, whether you're in the delivery, whether you're in the growth aspect of the business. But there needs to be a measurable amount. And if it is in a sales area, look at each of, whether it's, you or I, and you're prospecting on a client, you've had a conversation with the client, and you're proposing that you're going to bring in a certain amount of money, and also measure that in, a month's time, and look at what did that client come on with. So was it a win? Yeah. Did you win the client? Yes. Hooray. Let's celebrate that. But also how much that was in a dollar value as well. So you can look at each month and go, okay, the business, I've put this much into the business. And then you can see what the other partner is doing and go, okay, I've put this into the business.
Yep.
And look at what is working, what's not working.
But I think the overrider to that too is to understand that sometimes, one partner that's their job to bring people in, the other partner it's not. And so you've got to be careful that you're not sort of using it as a tool of, look how much money I'm bringing in, you're bringing in,
right.
Sweet FA.
Yep.
But what I like about it is that in that situation, that's something where you can own that and be proud of those and celebrate those wins together, which again just drives momentum into the business.
Yeah.
Always great to chat about these things. These are the sort of things we teach our clients in our Mastermind for Business program, Mastermind Business Accelerator. So if you are listening to this on YouTube right now, we'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, but drop in the comments below if there's a particular topic. If you've got some feedback for us or you've got a particular topic you'd like us to talk about, drop it into the comments. If you're listening to this or reading about this on our socials at Mastermind for Business or at Mark Creedon Coach, we'd love to get some feedback. Put it in the comments. And if you've got a particular topic that you'd like to hear us talk about from our 15 plus years experience as being life partners and business partners, we'd love to help you out with it, because at the end of the day, that's what we do and that's why we do what we do. Thank you, Caroline. Awesome. Until next time, please make sure you spend time with those who matter most.